Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. This is Tim from the Civil Gore podcast. I just blew the intro, but it's okay. We're doing a mini-sode.
Yeah, it's a mini-sode.
So we don't have to be formal. Tim from the Civil Gore podcast. We are doing a mini-sode Busch Gardens Howl-O-Scream preview, and I'll let my co-host introduce himself.
Yeah, I know. You almost forgot me. This is Brian. Brian Hurt. No, they. I had to throw that in there too.
We're a little giddy. We just recorded an hour and a half disc.
Yeah, that was way off the chains this time. Yeah, this is becoming like a yearly tradition where we get together with Tim and his family and do a fun haunt. This year, in lieu of Halloween Horror Nights, which actually it seems like we picked a year not to go for sure. So I've heard like a lot of people have been saying that it hasn't been up to the usual fun it is. Like, it's fun because it's Universal and it's all that, but like from what I understand, like, I mean, to me, like, there's only a couple of houses that I really like. Oh, I wish I could have gone to that. You know, even though it's like funny, it's like I was like the house of the weekend, you know, and did a house, but like from what I heard, everyone was saying that was one of their favorites, but whatever. I don't know. We know a couple of people that went, so we can probably definitely get some info on how it was. But yeah, you know what? I think I don't know. I'm kind of glad we picked to do it different this year, and we're doing Busch Garden, Williamsburg, Howl-O-Scream. Of course, there's a sister event at the Tampa Park, but we're not traveling that far. Busch Gardens is kind of like equidistant for me and Tim to get to, so we picked this. We've been to Howl-O-Scream together once before, many years ago now at this point, with Coaster Radio. This year we're just doing it, you know, for fun. We got 2 nights there. There's 2 days and 2 nights there, so it'll be good. And we're in the same hotel, so there'll be plenty of fun content we'll try and bring you, and I'm sure plenty of stories and excitement.
Yeah.
But I figured we just want to do a quick little mini-sode, just so you got something, because we don't know what episode will release next week, so this will probably release as you're hearing this. It should be Friday, the day we're traveling to Virginia from our respective homes. And so I figured we just go through a little, like what we do for the Halloween Horror Nights, just at a lesser scale. We'll just go through the houses and a little description on it, and the territories, as they call their scare zones, and the shows, and maybe, you know, just a little bit of stuff we're looking forward to. So I guess it will alternate. So Tim, why don't you start off with the first house on the docket here? Sure.
Okay. So the first house here is, and I will preface this by saying I have not looked up any of the houses. I've not looked at walkthroughs or videos or anything. I'm going in fresh.
Yeah, I want to go in fresh too.
I don't want to look at rankings or any of that kind of thing yet. So the first one up here is Inferno. When death is only the beginning, there's no end to the scorching terror in sight. As the ground opens to the fiery torments of the dead, your only hope for escape is to journey further into this twisted domain. Descend deep into the pits of Lucifer's lair to find your way out, but beware, the underworld's demonic horde is yearning for your soul.
That sounds really cool.
Sounds pretty cool. Sounds kind of hellscape-ish.
Yeah, I like the Busch Garden, the way they do it. They kind of just pick you know, they try and always do some kind of original, their own original little stories. And I think like there's one coming up, you'll see. It's like a sequel to one of their previous houses, but we'll see what you know. I don't think we've been to the first one, but either way. Anyway, the next one is Deathwater Bayou. It says the sounds of the carnival celebration grow faint as you are beckoned deeper into the bayou by an unseen force. The cursed hands rise out of the swamp, reaching in desperation for their next devilish devotee. Beware of the bayou, or fall victim to the horrors cast by the swamp's sinister citizens. I don't know about you, but I've been to a couple of haunts where they've had a swamp sequence. Like there was that really good one Dorney Park had, I think.
Yeah, I like that one.
And I happen to love when they recreate a bayou scene, because bayous are creepy normally, so I think they lead to perfect type of scares you can do, you know. And I know Busch Gardens gonna knock this one out of the park. It's actually right now, I think that's like second one I'm looking forward to the most. The first one I'll tell you when we get to it.
Well, you remember when there was that little house at or the little segment in one of the houses, that B movie themed house we did at Halloween
Oh,
Horror Nights
yeah,
the first
Swamp
year
Yeti.
with the Swamp Yeti.
Yep.
I loved that one so much. I got the T-shirt of it.
Yep,
So.
same with me. Tim and I both like spent like an hour trying to get that T-shirt made, because like that make your own T-shirt, which they didn't have the last time we went.
I know,
Remember?
it's disappointed because I love that shirt. I still wear it all the
know.
time.
Yeah, I wanted to get that, but
All right, next up is that sequel house, Nevermore Chapter 2. A disturbing new chapter in the Nevermore saga has been unveiled, wreaking horror and havoc for the nobility and townsmen alike. The gothic nightmare reads on as tales of torment and terror take frightening form. Explore a world where literature comes to life and poignant prose takes on an even darker reality. That sounds cool because I'm a book nerd.
yeah.
I love literary references and stuff. So
Right, so that's obviously going to have a Raven slant to it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Based on the title. And yeah, you probably don't even need to see the first one to appreciate this one, I have a feeling so. But here's the one I think is my number one looking forward to. And that's Witch of the Woods. Tim and I love our witch folk horror thing. So it says, legend tells of the old witch in the woods who descended upon the ancient village and wreaked havoc. Nobody alive has seen her, but if you're brave enough to travel the woods at night, it's said that you can hear her chanting and crying out to the skies. Those who give in to her control become her disciples, and those who don't inevitably meet the same fate. But this is only a story, right? So, you know what? I'm hoping, I don't know, I'm just speculating. Probably there are people that probably are much more experts in this event than we are. So this is only going to be my, technically third time going because I went twice that one year because we got the preview night and then I went with Costa Radio. But they, I'm hoping it's in that, remember that little outdoor area haunt we went to? We were the last group to go in because it started to rain too much and they didn't want any of the scare actors. It was starting to get muddy. If it's in that area where it's kind of like a little bit kind of free-forming, you kind of like walk, but you don't necessarily need to be on the exact path.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm going to lose it because I think that'll be the coolest thing. I don't know if that is. It could be just a regular house that they do a good job of decorating. But either way, though, that's my number one I'm looking forward to out of the houses.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be, that would rank right there with my number one. If not, maybe the Bayou would be my probably next pick, but I always love witch stuff. So
although I have a feeling this next one may be like a sleeper hit to us. That could be one of our favorites.
This one could be fun. There was one that they did at Scarowinds. You remember that one at Scarowinds that was like a meat market type?
Yeah. One? That was like the one where like the first one where the guy jumped out at you and Olivia was laughing so hard she couldn't move further.
Yeah. This one sounds like it. This one, I think this one might be the most like just ridiculous fun house, and that's Killarney Diner.
Yeah.
What say, Daddy-O? Will you make it through your meal before becoming the flavor of tomorrow's Blue Plate Special? Orders up, now serving you with a side of demise. So it sounds like it might be like a 60s diner type experience, but with horror stuff.
And I have a feeling it must be in that the Ireland section because with the Killarney.
Killarney, yeah.
So it's probably somewhere in the Ireland section of the park. So it probably have a little bit of an Irish theme to it, which even better. So I think that'll be that one will be. That's a sleeper hit pick for me. But we'll do what we usually do when we do our little recap. We'll rank the houses. I mean, there's only 5, so it's easier.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't really mind the small number of houses this year because we want to get a lot of rides and stuff in.
Yeah.
But with 2 nights, we're not doing any of the fast passes. So I think it becomes a more reasonable number. Yeah. And, if we want to revisit some, I think we're going to have time to do that. Yeah,
and also, like I've said this before, I've said this to a lot of people. I'm like, as great as the houses are at Busch, at Howl-O-Scream, their territories, which we're going to go through now, and their atmosphere that they create in the park, just using the natural park layout, is so good that to me, like I remember my favorite moment. I think I had said this before. It wasn't even the houses. It was when I was walking through some of the scare zones. Is that one thing where you take that long bridge over the Rhine River there they have, and it's like you see the Loch Ness Monster to one side of you, and it's like all fog, and the actors are on that bridge with you, but you can't really make out where they are, and it's just you're like going through this fog setting, and it's like really dark and everything, and I'm just like, that's what we missed out at Costa Radio's event because it started to rain, so they really didn't have anybody out there, and they probably didn't want to worry about people slipping on the bridge and so they probably kept the scare actors to a minimum out there. But they do such a good job at their streetmosphere of for haunts and stuff and their scare actors that I'm actually looking forward to just like walking the tour around the park, in the dark like that because it's such a cool park at dark anyway. There are a lot of nooks and crannies and spots and
I think for sure from all the haunt events that I've been to, which has not been a lot, but Busch Gardens definitely has the best, like, outside of the haunts atmosphere in general. Like, it's just fun walking around that park doing nothing, but just walking around. It really is a blast. Yeah,
and you can get, they have lots of, you can get plenty of spots for beer. You can walk around with your beer like you do, so it'll be really, I will just not repeat what I did last time, was chug a beer and then go in for Bolton, because that was, that was way too hard to hold that beer in online. I remember as soon as I got back, talk about Verbolten, I Verbolten right out of the queue to go pee. Because that is not a ride that, like, is good on the bladder when you're holding it in full. And then that poor guy, remember poor beard man, like the girl was like just harassing him on that line.
That was an experience.
But yeah, so either way, we're gonna have lots of fun with that. But let's go into the scare zones now, because I think these are where I think Howl-O-Scream shines and really, really separates itself from the other regional parks at the event. And so the first one is Dead Ahead. So it says, the bloody bodies of beheaded are lurking through the streets of France, seeking revenge for their bludgeoned fate. Beware your surroundings. One wrong move and it could be your head on the chopping block. And obviously that's in the France location of the park, so, which is kind of a cool location anyway. There. So add that to it. Nighttime, that'd be fun.
The next one up is Gorgon Gardens. Don't look too closely. Staring straight into the soulless eyes of these serpent sisters leads to venomous consequences and a stone-cold eternity. There's no escaping these sinister sirens once you've been added to their succulent garden of souls. And that one's going to be in the Italy Garden section, which should be perfect.
Yeah. And this one I think is my pick for the one I'm looking forward to the most here, and that's Scary Tale Road. It says, once upon a time, these fairy tale fantasies lured you to sleep with picturesque places and harmonious heroes. Survival is slim, as these childhood icons have been ripped from the pages and are now haunting your dreams. And that's in Rhinefield. That's the area I'm talking about that perfect. I love there. So that's going to be right there. You're going to be going around like it's near the river area, and it's going to be it's a very dark section of the park. That is going to be pretty epic, I have a feeling.
Next up, we have Meat Market. Fresh meat. The denizens of this devious dwelling are serving up delectable delicatessen and gorging on human hors d'oeuvres. This is in New France area, so that should be fun. That looks like they might be borrowing some props from the diner haunt.
Yeah, I know. Maybe it's like an outside version of the diner haunt. Yeah. Next one is Ripper Row. It says, don't wander the streets of Whitechapel after dark. You never know what you might run into. Murder, mayhem, and mistaken identities around the back alleys of this English town. I mean, back alleys of the English town, you've got me sold. Now that you're adding people popping out at you there, sold. Yeah. Sold. That's going to be fun. The England section, again, is a really good... I mean, all the sections are pretty fun in Busch Gardens anyway, but, like, it's that England thing alone, like, and then you add haunts to it, you have, like, this extra magic to it, because the theming is already there.
Then, of course, we have the Roaming Hack Pack. This roaming horde of monsters has one objective: to remind the most confident and unsuspecting guests that there is no place to hide at Howl-O-Scream. You may hear the roar of their chainsaws coming, or you might not. And this is listed as where you least expect it as the location. Which is
cool. I remember like there was one point, I think it was the night Julie and I went, and I remember I was just staring there watching as these people would sneak up behind the people, then rev the chainsaws right as they got behind them and watch them jump. It's pretty.
The most fun I had, I think it was at Dorney when we were sitting there watching the people on the roller skates. That would come back
and they'd slide.
They'd slide with the sparks. I mean, that was hilarious. Watching people get scared from that.
Yeah, that's nothing quite like watching people jump from that. It's pretty funny. So there's 4 shows actually there too, which is pretty impressive. 4 Halloween themed shows.
Yeah, I remember when Ken and I went. I actually really enjoyed watching the shows there in the Fest House. So these are they're solid entertainment.
Yeah,
so I'm looking forward to these.
Yeah, the first one on the list here is this. I don't know if they copyright infringed from Universal, whatever, but that's Jack is Back. It's the popular disco dance celebration returns to Ireland Village with pumpkins, scarecrows, and Howl-O-Scream's legendary character Jack.
All right. Next up is Phantoms of the Fest House. This isn't your typical singing contest. Join the living audience as a new lineup of your favorite ghouls take on spooky hits, and the winner is put to vote. more spirited the audience is, the more exciting the competition is.
See, that's fun, and that's where you get all the beer in that place.
That place is awesome. And even right outside of it, they usually have like the mini bars set up.
And Verbolten's right over there.
Verbolten's over there. They got fog all over the place. It's a really cool, fun party atmosphere. I love it. I love that whole section back there.
That's like one of my favorite little spots of the park. And remember that little craft beer section is hidden inside the Fest House. And so that Fest House kind of reminds me of that Harmony Hall at Carowinds, kind of thing. That big open. I think more theme parks need to have that. The more regional parks, those big open, like those big giant, not open areas, but big open spaced enclosed areas where you could just hang out and eat and drink.
And then they have like a variety of food, so you
get some really
picky
cool
kids.
stuff.
They can get something here, and you can go over here.
I almost guarantee us spending at least an hour in that place at one point. Next is the Skeletones. It says the lively brass quartet leaves nothing but bones on San Marco stage in Festa Italia. Take a break from the scares with this spooky ensemble. That sounds like it's a little smaller show, but still.
Yeah.
A little fun.
Then we got Monster Stomp on Ripper Road. This modern rock and rhythm spectacular features Jack the Ripper like you've never seen him before. Electrifying percussion, dynamic dance, and sensational singing return to Globe Theater stage in a pulse-pounding review.
Yeah.
So that should be
we definitely got to have our... we have 2 nights, 2 full days where I think we'll have plenty of time to get through all that we want to get. I do know I do need my one guaranteed night ride on Loch Ness Monster. That's always one of my favorite ways. It's usually how I try and end the day. I don't know if I'll necessarily end the day before we leave on there, just depending where we are. But we definitely need a night ride on that because it's very epic at night, that ride.
And I was telling Joshua, I said, Joshua, one thing I want to tell you about this trip is, if there's anything you don't want to ride, I'm not going to force you to ride it, obviously. And if there's any haunted house you don't want to go into that you're too scared to go into, then just tell me and you don't have to go through it. And he looked at me like with this look like, are you crazy? And he's like, Dad, I'm going in every haunted house.
Nice.
I was like, all right, okay.
What a difference a year makes, right?
Yeah, what a difference. But Anna, of course, is definitely up for it. And I'm hoping that maybe, Anna's biggest problem with the houses last year was not the scares, it was the noise, like the loudness of it. And I don't think that the haunts at Busch Gardens are probably as loud because I don't think they use like the constant soundtrack like Universal houses.
Yeah, no, they don't. I think that, like, in fact, I remember there was like hardly a sound at all in like that one, that outside woods one, and even that one. Remember that one, the circus one we did, where you, me, and Kevin really loved that one. Yeah, like that really just only had like normal speaking voice.
Yeah, you have people jumping out, but you don't have like the constant. Like the Universal houses are so loud you can't even talk to each other inside of them. There's just constant blaring music and stuff, and I think that's what really upset her more than anything. So I don't. And when I say upset, she wasn't upset. She went through all the houses, but she was,
it annoyed her. Yeah,
it was annoying. Yeah. So once we got her earplugs to muffle it, she was fine.
I just hope she braves enough more for the rides this year because I think she'd probably love it when she got on a lot of the rides. So
yeah, Joshua said he's willing to try Verbolten because he loves the Mummy at Universal, and Verbolten shares a lot of characteristics with the Mummy, like it's got the inside stuff and things. So,
but tell him it's also similar. It is a little similar to Hagrid's, and I remember he got a little nervous on that, but
yeah, but he told me, he said, Daddy, he said I'll probably ride anything up to like including Hagrid's level. So I was like, okay, this would be Hagrid's level.
Oh yeah, so. Yeah. I think though I have a feeling your kid's favorite ride, if it's not Verbolten, it'll definitely be Invader.
Definitely, yeah. I think they're gonna love that one. So, but so guys, we will see you. Like I said, I don't know what the plan is for next week. Keep an eye on our social media to let you know because we're going to be traveling, so we're not going to have time to record like a full episode. But we may have a mini episode recap sometime late next week, possibly.
Yeah, and we'll and definitely keep an eye later today as we're like, even though we're not at the park yet, while you're listening to this, we'll still probably post pictures on our travels there. And of course, once we get there, we'll be sending out pictures and stuff. And who knows, we'll be back at the hotel. Maybe Tim and I will probably going to be having lots of pumpkin beers. Maybe we'll do some live pumpkin tasting or drink tastings there. I remember that was like one of our first live videos we ever did was at a Howl-O-Scream.
It was
the radio one. So I think we'll need to do more of that. I think we'll just have to figure out a way to it. And the cool thing is I did read on their thing. They said you can have you can film, you can record inside the houses. You just can't have any kind of extendable tripod. So I have a little handheld thing that will help us, that I can hold in front of us. It doesn't extend. It's as long as my arm goes. So I don't know, maybe you'll hold it because you have a longer arm than me. And maybe we can use that and record like our reactions going through the houses a couple of times, and we can
that'd be cool.
send that out, because we haven't really done that in a while. So anything like that. So
all right, guys. Well, we'll see you back here soon, and keep a tab on our social media for all the upcoming content from Howl-O-Scream.
Yes, see you soon.